All right, settle in. Let's talk about the people next door. You know your neighbors, right? You see them get their mail. You wave when they mow the lawn. You know their routines. You hear the faint sounds of their life through the walls. The TV, an argument, laughter. It's normal. It's comforting even. It reminds you that you're not alone in the world. But what if the routine wasn't comforting? What if it was off just slightly? A detail that doesn't fit, a pattern that makes no sense. You try to ignore it, but it sticks in your brain. It grows, and the more you ignore it, the more it screams at you from behind their perfectly trimmed hedges. Because the truth about neighbors is this: you only ever see the performance, the daytime show. You have no idea what the curtain closes on. You don't know what they do when the street lights come on and the world goes quiet. You don't know what happens in the dark hours, in the private space they own right next to you. The story I'm about to tell you isn't about ghosts in an old house. It's not about some monster in the woods. It's about a nice house on a quiet street. It's about a friendly man who collected his packages and smiled. It's about a family with a perfect lawn. It's about what they did after midnight and why, when I finally saw it, I packed my bags and ran. And I haven't slept through the night since. You notice routines when you work the night shift. I got home from the hospital every day at 11:45 p.m. The Patterson house next door was always dark, dead dark. No TV glow, no porch light. They had those blackout curtains. I never saw them come or go, but their garbage cans, put out every Tuesday morning, were always full, heavy. The bags clinked. I met Mr. Patterson once, just after they moved in. He was retrieving a package from his step. Mid-50s, pale, with a too-wide smile that didn't reach his eyes. "We keep odd hours," he said before I could even ask. "Medical conditions, sunlight allergies, very dull." His handshake was cold. I wrote it off as rich people eccentricity. The house was the nicest on the block. The first time I heard them was around 12:30 a.m. I was microwaving leftovers. The sound came through the shared wall, not voices. A low, resonant, harmonic hum, like a family holding a single, dissonant musical note. It lasted a full minute, then stopped, cut off. Silence. I pressed my ear to the wall. Nothing. The next night, it happened again. 12:30 on the dot. This time, I heard the distinct sound of a chair scraping back. Then another. Then the hum began. A deep, vibrating chorus that made the water in my glass tremble. Curiosity became obsession. I started watching. Their house stayed dark until midnight. Then, at 12:05 a.m., a soft golden light would bloom in their kitchen windows. Not electric light. It was the warm, dancing glow of candlelight. Dozens of candles. At 12:15, shadows would pass by the windows, tall, elongated figures moving to sit at a table. At 12:30, the hum. At 1 a.m., the sounds would change. The clinking, the sound of cutlery on porcelain. But it was all wrong. It was too loud, too violent, like they were smashing their plates with their forks. And there were wet, tearing sounds underneath. No conversation, ever. Just the humming, the clinking, the tearing. One Tuesday, my garbage can tipped over. I went out at 11 p.m. to pick it up. The Patterson's cans were already at the curb. The lid on one was askew. I'm not proud of this, but I looked. The bag was full of bones, not chicken or steak bones. These were long, thin, and porous. Some were joined, vertebrae, ribs. They were meticulously clean, scrape white. And among them, tangled like pale spaghetti, were long strands of fine silvery hair. Human hair. I dropped the lid. It clattered. A light came on in the Pattersons' upstairs bedroom. A shape appeared behind the curtain, watching me. I went inside and called my friend in the county records office the next day. Casually, I asked about the Patterson purchase. The house wasn't sold. It was inherited from a great aunt. The last name on the previous deed wasn't Patterson. It was Patterson. They didn't buy the house. They already owned it. They just come back. That night, I didn't wait for the sounds. At 11:55 p.m., I stood in my dark living room and stared at their house. The street was silent. At midnight, their front door opened. Mrs. Patterson stepped out. She was dressed in a formal, old-fashioned gown. She walked to the center of their perfectly manicured lawn. She lifted her face to the moonless sky. She opened her mouth wide, wider than should be possible, and inhaled, a long, slow, sucking breath that made the air around her seem to waver. One by one, the rest of the family came out. The two teenage sons, the grandmother I'd never seen. They formed a circle. They all turned their faces up and inhaled that same way, drinking the dark. Then they turned, in unison, and looked directly at my window. They knew I was watching. They had always known. They didn't smile. They didn't gesture. They just looked. Their eyes were black pits in the pale moons of their faces. Slowly, as one, they turned and filed back inside. The door closed. The candlelight bloomed in the kitchen. The shadows sat. At 12:30, the hum began. But this time, it was different. It wasn't a dissonant chord. It was a single, clear, focused note. And it was coming from my side of the wall, inside my house. I realized the truth then. They weren't just eating after midnight. They were eating because it was midnight, the witching hour, the thin time. They weren't consuming food. They were conducting a ritual, a nightly sacrament to sustain whatever they were. The bones in their trash were the physical remains. The real meal was the darkness, the silence, the stolen vitality of the sleeping world. And now, because of my curiosity, they had changed the ritual. They had included me in the grace. The hum was an invitation, a call to the table. I moved out a week later. I told the landlord it was pests. I didn't look back. But sometimes, when I'm in a new apartment and I wake up just after midnight, I'll lie perfectly still. I'll listen. And in the hum of the refrigerator, in the groan of the pipes, I'll sometimes hear the faintest echo of a single, sustained note, an invitation waiting for a reply. They're not my neighbors anymore, but I have a feeling that doesn't matter. Once you hear the hum, you're on the guest list forever.